Hi everyone and welcome back to the Madhouse. Today I've created a pattern so I can teach you how to read a pattern and how to change colours in your corner to corner crochet. So we're going to start with row 11. Now what you can see there, it says row 11 WS means you're working on the wrong side of the fabric. Blue 5, white 1, blue 5. That's the B5, W, B5. So 5 squares of the blue, 1 square of white and 5 of blue. So here's the one we've already been working on. We've now got 4 squares of blue and I've nearly completed the 5th square of the blue stitch. To change the colour, you have to start changing the colour at the last stitch of the previous square. So I'm about to show you how to do that. I've done 3 stitches and this will be the 4th stitch in that block. So there's the new colour that we're going to start in a moment. So we're on the last stitch. So the yarn goes around twice, pull it through and then pull it through. When you're down to having just the 2 loops on the hook, like we are now, you pick up your new colour, in this case white, and you close that last loop with the new colour. That's very important, otherwise your work is going to not look even when you're completing it. Now it gets a little confusing for a moment here, so bear with me. We take the 2 colours, the start of the new colour and the end of the old colour, and put them out of the way. Now we're starting the new block in white. It's just the one block. So I'm just going to work through that block quickly. So that's the first and this is the second. And I apologise for the camera focus. I've changed my workspace around, but I'm still figuring out the camera settings. So this is the 3rd stitch of the white block. Remember the pattern said 1 white square. This is the last of the white. Now we're about to go back to the blue. Remember there's 5 more squares of blue on this row. The white is in the center of the row. So I now have a second ball of blue yarn that I'll be using. So again, we're going to pick up the blue colour at the top of the last stitch of the white colour. So we're closing the white stitch with a blue thread. Now it's a little tricky again to keep the tension up, so just bear with me. Right, so we've closed that with the blue. Now we have a tail for our new yarn, that bit there. So we always tug on all of our yarns at the start of the colour change, just to make sure that they're all tight. You don't want them too tight, but you don't want them loose. Alright, so now you can see we've done the 5 stitches of blue and the 1 of white. Now, we've got the tail of the new blue yarn. It's at the back of the work at the moment. And it's a little tricky to show you right now because I've got wool everywhere, but we're going to crochet over that tail of the new yarn. So see here where the tail is at the back? We're going to crochet around that tail to hold it down. Later on we'll weave in all the ends of the work, but for now we're just going to hold down that tail and crochet around it so it's secured. And that's the last stitch in that block. So remember it's 5 blocks each side of that white square in blue. So we're just going to crochet the rest of that row. Now the side that we're looking at, as I showed you before, is the wrong side of the work. So the bit that people are going to see when you're finished is the back side of the row that you're working on. because we work each row up and down, you go from right side to wrong side to right side to wrong side. So I put a reminder in on each row in my patterns so you know which side of the work you're on. That will become important when you're trying to figure out later on where you want your yarn tails to be. Because right now the yarn tails are on the back of the work, but that's the right side, so we're going to bring them through in a moment. The next row is row 12. 5 blue, 2 white, 5 blue. So I finished that last row and I've turned the work around, and now we're ready to start our 2 white squares. So again, now we're looking at the right side of the work. So we're going to make sure that all of our tails go to the back of the work on this row. So that's your last stitch of the 5th blue square. Now we're doing 2 squares of white. So just hook your work up. That was me getting carried away. So that's stitch 1 and 2. Now as you see, I've put all the tails on the back side of the work, and they're going to stay on that side now. They're going to stay on the wrong side of the work, so that when you come to the end of it you can weave them in quite easily because they're all on the one side where they should be. Okay, and we're just going to keep going. And this is the 2nd white stitch on that row. And if you need to go back and read the pattern again, that's fine. You can go back and pause this video anytime you like, just so you can double check what we're doing. But this is row 12. And this will be stitch number 4. So we're going to need to pull the white one across and get it out of our way. And here's the blue from the previous row. So now we're picking up the blue again to do our 5 blue stitches. So that's the important thing to remember when doing a color change. The last hook through the loops of the previous stitch has to be done in the new color that you're changing into. Now, just to keep things neat, I'm tying that white thread at the back of the work. I'm just putting a knot in it and tying it back on itself for now. Less chance of it unraveling by accident. So now we've got to do 5 squares of blue to finish row 12. And this is really the key to doing graph gowns and picture blankets and stripes or any other color changing in crochet corner to corner. Knowing how to change the color and knowing how to secure the loose ends as you go along so that they don't run out before you go back and finish weaving them all in when you've completed the blanket. See, sometimes I get carried away with myself. Now if I'm making a blanket just for myself, I tend to just crochet the ends in as I go. Then I don't have hundreds of ends to weave in when I'm finished. Whilst I'm teaching you this technique at the moment, we'll do the whole thing and the weaving in of the ends when we're finished. But right now I hope you can see how we've changed the colour and follow along from